Hello folks, Red Labor here. I want to talk about the issue of class warfare. When I hear the term, it's usually thrown around in a negative light. It's usually usually on political campaigns. Republicans will accuse the Democrat who's supposedly, in most cases, supposed to stand for the working class. They'll just shoot back with this like, "There you go again, throwing class warfare," and usually some of these sellouts in the Democratic Party would just clam up and want to be a cut above it all, don't want to be divisive. That's how they act. And same thing with the media. They're above class warfare, and they don't want to be accused of that. Nobody wants to be accused of it. It's crude. It's old-fashioned. It's so passé to want to stand up for the poor and the middle class. Well, if it's poor, if it's crude, antiquated, passé, well, I embrace being crude, passé, and antiquated, because class warfare is real. And really, who's waging this class warfare? It's really not the poor against the wealthy and well-to-do. It's more like the well-to-do against the poor and the middle class. Our industrial base in this country has depleted in the last 30-some years. That's warfare against poor and middle-class people. And then let's see, you have corporately managed trade that taken fairly good paying jobs, even some higher end, slightly above minimum wage type jobs down here in the South. Some of these companies that leave the North to go to the South for the longest time because they want to get away from those pesky unions, and then pay these workers in the South slightly above minimum wage, and that's too expensive for the workers, so they shut down their shops and go to a third world country. That's class warfare. Class warfare is if you have a private insurance plan that you go and play by the rules, and they just bleed the money out of your pocket, and when you need medical care to be taken care of, the insurance company say, well, I don't think we need to cover that. And in some cases, people continue to suffer, or they're bankrupt, and in the worst case scenario, they die. That's class warfare. So there is class warfare all the time, and the class warfare is being waged by the well-to-do against those who are not as well-to-do. And so, instead of just being scared to look like some crazy radical, I urge working class people to go up to corporate America that rips them off and stiffs them over, and say, no, fuck you. We're standing for our beliefs. We need to restore our middle class, America. We do. Rush Limbaugh, who sits there and talk about welfare recipients and government dependency and that sort of thing, and liberals this and liberals that, and tried to appeal to a lot of people in the rural areas of America to get them all angry at the very people who are not the cause of their problems. They need to realize that are people like Rush Limbaugh, and Glenn Beck, and Fox News, do they really give two shits about the working class in this country? No. They'll talk about gay marriage and the whole God, gays, and guns thing, and some of these yahoos in the rural area of the country just be like, well, they're trying to take away my guns and take away my right to worship, and them gays, they're trying to get married. Never mind that you got downsized, you yahoos, some of you from the Tea Party, that are, some of you people in the rural South some of you folks in you know, never mind that you got downsides to hell by corporate America and got ripped off. I mean, you want to go around blaming teacher unions and blaming environmentalists and blaming the media and blaming blaming the the so-called secularists out there and blaming anybody but corporate America. I mean, it's kind of like that. There's a play years ago I saw on PBS called Death of the Salesman, where you had a salesman that was not doing very well financially, but he had an undying devotion toward a capitalist system, and no one was more had by the capitalist system than this guy. And many of the foot soldiers from the Tea Party today, and many of the foot soldiers from the religious right, and many of these people from the rural South and some of the rural Western states and some of these areas where they're highly impoverished, and so what happens? End up blaming, as I said, teacher unions and immigrants and everybody you can imagine, except for the source of the problems this country has today, and that is crony capitalism. So just think about what I said here, and think we could use some class warfare, and class warfare is a good thing. I like the fact that in many societies around the world, that companies and corporations are scared of the working class, but the working class, sadly enough, are too scared of corporate America, and we need to change that around. I mean, for those that think it's natural for corporations to bully America, I think it's time to change that scenario. Doesn't mean that we should have a command economy like the Soviet Union. That's just trading one form of tyranny for another. And Tommy Douglas, who was the former leader of the New Democratic Party, the late Tommy Douglas, that was his phrase when they inquired him about capitalism versus communism. And as a socialist, he said, I would never trade one form of tyranny for another. So there you have it, folks. And we need to organize, and the working class need to have a backbone. I mean, we need to have a backbone, and we need to stand up against corporatism and the abuse they inflict on the working class. Please comment and don't be shy. Take care.